relay call.
Hands around my neck, threw me to the ground. No knives, no guns.
Yes.
Give me your money. I said, how can I give you my money?
Yeah, you're here, the recorder.
So they told my
So we're within the end.
So I jumped in my car and started driving around the neighborhood. And I drove right straight aside. I said, my wallet, my driver's license, he's along the road. They give it back. They looked so startled. They came over the car and gave it back. Actually, this is a recital that I'm going to play at Mary Our Queen a week from tomorrow. If you've heard any recitals in there, it has terrible acoustics. Everything jumbles together. And I thought I would try to find some music that was not too loud and not too fast for the most part, although there are loud parts in these pieces. And that way it wouldn't be such a jumble. And I had originally thought of calling the program Cesar Franck and His Students. And there's a beautiful piece that Franck wrote at the end of his life. Franck is the most interesting of all composers because if he had died when he was 50, or he would have been on a footnote. But for some strange reason, when he turned 60, he became a great genius and turned out one great masterpiece after another, including two great piano works. I was going to play one of those, but I got a record, and on the record there was a transcription from organ to piano of one of his last master works, the Three Chorales for Organ, which actually he corrected the proofs on his deathbed. And so I gave up the piano piece that I was going to play and picked this transcription. So then I had to change the whole idea, and I thought I would play pieces that were French at the turn of the century. And there are 6 groups. Talking about masterpieces, the last piece, the Franck, is a masterpiece. The Fauré is his greatest piano piece, so that's a masterpiece. The piece about the mule drivers, nobody knows, and I think it's a masterpiece. And then we come to Poor Cecile Chaminade. They are not masterpieces. And I'll tell you more about Chaminade later, who was the most famous woman composer who ever lived, but who lived long enough to see her star eclipsed. All of these pieces are greatly influenced by Chopin, who was the greatest composer who ever lived in Paris, but one person did not influence Chopin, and that's Satie. And as you may know, Satie was an enormous eccentric who wrote pieces with impossible titles. Nobody's sure what nociens means. He was also famous for giving directions such as to be played like a nightingale with a toothache. I'll read the directions from the nociens. I don't pay any attention to them because I don't want to know what they mean. Then there's Ravel, who was the greatest pupil of Fauré. And Ravel deliberately, I don't know, he was a very mediocre pianist, so he decided to write the most difficult piano music ever written, and succeeded, don't you think, Joe?
Oh, yes.
And so I decided I would pick the 4 easiest pieces that he ever wrote that nobody knows, and I was surprised you didn't know the Chabrier. So the first group of pieces by Ravel. There are 4 pieces. The first one was written as a piece that people at the conservatory had to play in a competition. Then there's a piece called On the Name of Haydn, in which during a Haydn anniversary, a lot of French composers were asked to write music that used the notes on the piano that correspond to Haydn. There's a piece by Debussy. There must be about 15 such pieces. And then come the 2 pieces in the manner of, which are pieces that Ravel wrote in imitation of someone. The first one is in imitation of Borodin, who you probably know, was a unfortunately weekend composer. He was an MD who thought that music really was secondary and that what was important was medicine and biochemistry, and he taught in the medical school. And it's a great tragedy because he was a great genius, but he had this hang-up about he better pursue his medical and scientific things. Anyhow, this piece by Ravel is in imitation of Borodin, and then the last piece is an imitation of the French composer Chabrier, who also, Ravel also used a tune from Gounod's Faust. I don't know why.